Hello, I am the Restless Kaiser.
And I'm Jonny B.
And we are
Modelling for Advantage.
Get in there, John. Get in there. So, today, another one of our Kitbash Corner videos.
Yay!
So, yet again, I looked at a vintage Games Workshop model, of which there are a few in the case of this fat boy, and said, John, take some old bits of shite and make something amazing. So, for the benefit of the viewers and the listeners at home, the barbarian tribes of Fenris believe that the most powerful Sky Warriors can bend the savage elements themselves to their will. Njal the Stormcaller is the living proof of that belief. The skies are his to command, and he takes fierce delight in summoning ice-toothed blizzards and howling gales with which to scatter and destroy those who stand in his path. So begins the story of Njal the Stormcaller.
Oh yeah, Nigel.
Obviously, I just read that straight out of the codex. But that's Njal the Stormcaller. So we get some stills up so the viewers can have a look at Njal. Njal has got a few models though, John. Why don't you tell us about this model?
He has got a few models. The only ones that I'm really aware of, and the one that you looked at and made me look at and say, look, this just isn't going to work for my army, is the old similar age to Ragnar model. Njal, which is like this. Woo! Holding up.
He's holding up the balloons.
He's got.
He's holding up the balloons.
He's got the little birdie and he's got his stick. And
he's got a dicky bird.
Yeah.
And a battle stick.
You know it. Battle stick, dicky bird, ready to go.
And it is such a ridiculous pose.
Again, like Ragnar, I love it. He's calling down the storm. He's like, fuck me.
He's calling down the storm like he's in a musical, though, rather than like actually out fighting on the fringes of the Empire.
Mate, that's how it was back in the 90s.
But there was another option for Njal. There's a Terminator option.
Yes, that's the more.
Where he's a bit more like battle pose with the quad. Is that more? It looks more dynamic.
It is, yeah. He's proper there with his little pokey stick. Whoop.
But he's Terminator. I mean, Terminators.
You don't rate the Terminators. I love everything Terminator.
And I think, well, no, I think there's a problem with, for me, and I might be mistaken here, but a lot of the Terminators, unless they're quite modern, look tiny next to the plastic kits.
Well, they do now. What with the
and I've not actually physically handled the model, but I suspect that model is smaller than plastic Terminators.
I think he's a lump. I think he's a lump. I quite like them. Yeah, I think he's quite large actually. The newer Terminator Njal.
Yeah. All right. So then there's the model that you created, which you should have seen some stills by now. So we had this inspiration. I definitely did not want that regular Ragnar model. So
similar option with the Njal model.
Similar option with the Njal model. I want this character. So as far as I know, then, to talk about Njal as a character, I seem to remember people talking about he's had some sort of impact on seeing Primarchs in the warp and receiving prophecies and stuff. Although I don't know the details.
Mate, it's news to me, but you've heard stuff on the grapevine, obviously.
Ear to the ground, obviously. Yeah. I mean, I have a problem with Warhammer story, if I'm being brutally honest.
Why?
Because I think the stories are really good, but you have to remember that in my real life, when I'm not doing this, I'm a librarian.
Book nerd.
Book nerd. Yeah, I did books, you see. I've read a lot of books. And
well, like real books.
Good stories are not necessarily good books that are well written.
Lies.
If I'm to stand there and say, you know, there's this nearly dead emperor, it's 5 minutes to midnight, he's entombed on a golden throne, and there's enemies everywhere, and the corruption of man is the real poison at the core of the universe. No, as a story, that's really good. But when you come to read the books, that doesn't mean that the execution of that story is always that good.
Heresy.
So I get a lot of my information. I've tried it. I'm that Dark Imperium. It's like, okay, I'm back in 8th edition. This is the thing. I read 30 pages.
Yeah.
I read 30 pages.
That's a full novel, I think.
Right? No, that's not how long novels are.
Is it not?
That's not how they go. No. So, anyway, maybe Naz is involved in that. But fundamentally, you know, he's a powerful.
He's a dude, is he?
He's sorcerer.
An important player.
So to talk about him as a character, because and in the game,
what can he do?
What can he do? Well, he's a wizard, you see. He's a grand wizard.
I'm a wizard, mind you.
He's got a stat line that's interesting. He's got, you know, fights on 2, shoots on 2, strength 4, toughness 4, wounds 5. You know, it's all boring, that stuff. Attacks 3 is a bit weedy. But he's got a 2-up save.
What?
Is that Artificer armour? It seems he's got a 2-up save as your basic Nigel.
Hey,
That's not Terminator Nigel.
No, it's not.
Or it's a misprint. I mean, that happens.
Well, in Runic Terminator armour, there's a completely separate entry for him there. Okay.
So, there's that. And then he's got his unique weapons. He's got his battle stick, or the Staff of the Stormcaller, which is +2 strength, which is nice, taking him over
That's handy, isn't it?
Strength 4 problem that you sometimes get. -1 AP, D3 damage. And he's got his Dicky Bird. Caw. Nightwing, who gets an Assault D6. Strength 3 attacks. Oh, now that is not a melee attack. That's Assault D6, isn't it? That's a shooting attack. That to 12 inches away. But of course, there's spells in the Space Wolf Codex that allow him to summon the spirit of dead dogs and stuff, isn't there? And they can become real monsters in combat.
Mate, if that's the truth,
you know it.
Then I don't want to see him on the table against me. I don't want to be fighting no dead dogs.
So Nigel, we talked about his stat lines, we talked about his weapons and his special abilities, because I think in Warhammer that's often the bit that really matters. That's the bit that makes the difference. So he's Lord of the Tempest. He can add 1 to psychic tests. That's pretty good.
That's pretty good.
That is pretty good. He has a psychic hood, like a lot of the psychers. He has runic armor, so he has an inborn save, unlike most of the other psychers. They don't have a...
They don't at all, do they?
They don't have a basic inborn save, no. And he has the Staff of the Stormcaller, which allows him to reroll a failed Deny the Witch. Which again, with a +1, he's pretty good at preventing other people from casting their spells. He can manifest 2 psychic powers. He can deny 2 psychic powers. And he knows 3 powers from the Tempestus discipline. All of that for a really small points difference over others. And because we often play power level, Nigel costs 7, and so does a normal... Well, Primaris one costs 7.
What about a normal dude?
A normal one...
Is he a Rune Priest? Oh,
Rune
in
Priest.
Terminator armour.
In Terminator armour. Normal Rune Priest is 6. Nigel is 7. You're getting a lot for that extra point.
You're getting a bit, aren't you?
You're getting a lot. I mean, in points, it's going to be slightly different, but it's not a lot more. I think it comes out a bit like Arjak. It's like he's a little bit more expensive, but he's a lot better.
Bonus.
No in 3. Yeah. And I believe with some of those special spells, the guy can become a real monster. So let's get on to the model. Those are the reasons I wanted him. I didn't want him to look like he was trying to sell balloons to children in the park, because I think that's a bit weird.
You missed the trick there. I think that would have been great.
You think that would have been a good look?
As a modelling opportunity, I think I've really missed out on that.
I think you can put that on the list of projects you will never complete.
Yes.
And maybe one day you won't have completed that and we can talk about it again.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I'll make a note. So what we're looking at, we got Nigel now. You didn't want the derpy pose.
I didn't.
So, and we've all of these parts, except for the Raven, are pretty much stock items from all of the available Space Wolf kits.
Yeah.
So again, like Ragnar, you've got, well, I say that it is pulled from a lot of kits, I believe. Hopefully Michael will be able to distinguish them as we go through. But a lot of them are from the Wolfpack sprues. There might be an upgrade bit on here. I think the pelt at the back is, and a few others, possibly from the Thunderbolts. Anyways, start with the model.
At the top, work our way down.
Well, I'm actually going to start at the bottom and work my way up.
Start at the bottom and work your way up. All right, John's got a plan.
So I'm going away. I'm just saying, you know, standard. So I wanted to catch the aesthetic roughly of Nigel. That's how he is now. You know, the staff calling down a storm.
Yeah.
Everything like that. I wanted a bit of that going on.
Yeah.
And I tried to use the components that are kind of like what he is equipped with from previous models. So it's got like Mark 8 Greaves, a bit of filigree on there, bit of this, bit of that. He's got a wolf pelt on the front with his hero belt and a knife. I don't think he had a knife, but everyone needs a knife, especially
so you can do that in Crocodile Dundee thing.
Exactly. Call that a knife.
Yeah. You can do that. He can do that.
So we got that going on. The torso is pretty standard. I think that's just a standard front torso of generic.
With all of these things, when we say about the Wolfpack upgrade, there is half a chance it's from the Thunderwolf sprue.
There is.
To me, they both came in the start collecting, and the parts are fairly interchangeable.
So
there's a chance. So generally, I'm going to remember.
Well, the backpack's good. That's not the backpack. The cloak. That's the alternate fur cloak, which we've talked about in the Ragnar.
So the upgrade sprue one goes one way, and the one in the wolf pack goes the other way.
So much
one
choice. So it's one of those. We got him a little wolf cloak. He's got standard wolf on his shoulder pads. So that's quite embossed, that one.
That one's really heavily embossed. That is the one from either the Thunderwolf sprue, or I think it's the one wolf embossed head on the wolf pack sprue.
No, I like that. It's quite clear. So it gives you clear definition.
Yeah, and it's different to the ones that I've mainly used, which are from the upgrade sprue. You get 10 embossed wolf heads.
All the same.
Yeah, which are all similar.
He's got a little gem on his left, which is yet to be painted.
Yeah,
right. Sorry, right.
Contrast paints with the gems, John.
Oh yes, of course.
I'm gonna have a look into that whole contrast thing because people are so excited about.
Well, you know,
like different paints.
they're like wet and stuff. I've heard, and colourful.
Apparently, they're wet.
They're very wet. His backpack is just a backpack. You'll see it there, but I've put a little skull on the top. It's just a little accessory you get in the wolf stuff. And I felt it needed that. Now here's a tricky part. He has his psychic hood.
Psychic hood. That was probably the bit that I was most concerned with. Without it, he's not going to look like a space marine.
He would just look like a space marine with a stick.
A space marine with a stick.
So I had to go up with something. Now, this is a real cut down version of, there's the Blood Angels Dreadnought kit.
Blood Angels Dreadnought?
Believe it or not, that's from a Dreadnought.
That's a dirty Blood Angel psychic hood on my Nigel.
I had to cut it right down. But you get 3 torso sections, one standard.
That's how the chaos get in, John.
Look, all right.
Level of corruption.
You're pure, you're wolfy, and you're not going to...
Yeah, because obviously there's clearly no taint of chaos in
I don't think so.
wolf dudes.
I don't think so. But that's where it's from. So... I'm sorry,
so the Blood Angels Dreadnought then. So how does that work? Can you explain that to the viewers?
Trickle. It's really trickle.
So they may not, Space Wolf fan. They may never have touched the Blood Angels Dreadnought kit, such as myself.
If they are a Wolf fan, then highly likely not. The kit comes with 3 torsos.
Right.
One standard, one's the Death Company, so it's got like a skull, make a really good chaplain, and one's a Librarian, which comes with a hood attached to the front plate. You get a little separate head.
And this is like the front of the chest piece on the Dreadnought.
The whole chest piece of the Dreadnought.
And it's over the... Right. It's not like there's a little dude with a little psychic hood.
No. It's the whole thing, and it's got the hood integrated into that torso section, that front plate. And so I cut it right down and modelled it around so it would kind of just sit on the back of the backpack. Looks like some sort of like perm machine, perming... set.
Oh, like a
like that, or some sort of light, to keep his little bald patch warm.
Yeah.
So that's what that is.
Is that what it is? Is that how he's lost all that hair?
That's why it's gone.
Because he's quite hairy in a lot of the literature. We made a mistake with the head there.
But he's always wearing, in all the other models, he's always got something on his head.
Right,
this one is
the
big reveal.
The big reveal. Actually, he's had a oven light baking his head for years.
So yeah, I mean, you got to fiddle around. You got to fiddle around, cut that all down, and slap it on. And there you go.
So you've taken this giant psychic hood,
I've literally
and you've
murdered
snipped it.
I've snipped the central part. It's like an arch.
Right.
I've snipped the central part to roughly where I think it would fit. Putting the head beside it to get a rough scale of it.
Yeah.
And then just sanded it down.
To be clear, you haven't taken a 40 quid Dreadnought kit just to make that hood. There were other versions you could build that are completely unaffected.
That's exactly right. The Death Company and the standard ones. So you're not going to destroy a kit. It's not a £40 kit that you're going to murder.
Just to get
So if you've got one of those kits and you haven't used a Librarian, then you'll have one spare.
And at least that does look like a psychic hood.
Yes, it's got a lot of elements. The
piece of green stuff on Milliput was going to look like a blob.
I mean, there might be other things. It'd be interesting if people comment on how they've made psychic hoods in the past.
Yeah.
I'd be interested in that.
I have a little boy. He just came in and moved the camera because it looks interesting. So I'm sorry if you just all shuffled a little bit there. We shattered. So let's go back.
We're back. We were on the stuff. We were on the stuff.
We're also the hottest day in the year.
It's okay. I don't mind melting.
You don't mind melting.
No, I do.
This is the toughest video I've done so far. On Nigel, let's just hope that it's talking about all this storm and rain.
That's what we need.
It's going to cool us down. So, Nigel's staff, then.
The staff.
You've been looking at. How did you get that? Because the arms, it all goes together so well.
The key component was the double-handed axe that you get in the Wolf Dudes kit. The Wolf Pack.
Mate,
standard, double-handed. You know the derpy-looking...
Double-handed, across the chest axe.
Yep.
Which is a bit naff.
That is it.
Do you know, I was so impressed about how you lined those out. I think you spent ages modelling that.
Well, I tried
you just taking that crappy axe and cropped it top and tail and stuck other bits on.
I had to get a few hours extra on there, so
I
get my money's worth.
Now, I want to talk about that in a minute, as another project, actually.
Oh, what?
So you've taken that double-handed axe, which is held in both hands as that kit, so that all goes together nicely.
Yep, so you can see that's a
and
perfect basis.
You just bored straight through it.
Yep. Same diameter as the 1.8 millimeter.
The 1.8 millimeter brass rod.
So
we should have an affiliate link.
Or 1/6 or something. Yeah, we could do. You can get it in
we
all
get like a
common
penny each go.
Common modelling stores, no doubt.
Common
Davis,
he wants some brass rod.
He wants brass rod.
Brass rod.
4 candles.
4 candles.
Straight through. Job's
through.
a good one. Using the bits that are chopped off of the axe, so the top and bottom, the hilt and the business end of the axe. Business end went away. Although you can use the you see this up here, the power sort of
that
source.
power plant that a lot of the power weapons. I mean, I think even Mortarian's got one of those power packs on the back of his
on the back of his axe.
Man Reaper or Plague Doom side thing. Yeah.
There are many about, so you can use any generic one. This one's from a staff
name, isn't it?
in itself. I can't remember what it's called now.
A staff?
This one's from a Grey Knight staff. I've got a tremendous amount of bits. But yeah, you can use anything that is on a power axe / weapon with that power kit there.
Yeah.
Bore through it as long as it's got the the central staff section, hilt section.
I reckon that's the kind of rat skull you got.
Rat skull. That's the same.
Same one from.
You see the back on his. It's the same skull, the wolf skull.
Yeah.
I believe the original model had that as well, but it had some wings, and I thought that's stupid. So a skull on a stick is not stupid.
Skull on a stick is not stupid. Not in 40k.
Right.
Skulls everywhere.
If anything, there should be more skulls.
Yeah, well, the human skulls is more common, of course. And then the pommel of it.
That's just off the axe. Just obviously.
You've really reused all those bits
just used as many
turn a
pieces
sheet of
as
brass
you can.
rod to looking like an ordinary staff.
And that is it.
I love that.
So that's
the reusability of all
that. Was the you got to, right?
Yeah.
It's part of it.
And it looks all kung fu. It doesn't look like you've taken that terrible axe and made a nice quarterstaff.
Well, thank you.
I like that. Yeah.
I think that's a compliment.
It is. It is definitely a compliment.
I'm not used to them from you, Michael.
I'm already thinking. I'm thinking about the Zweihander.
What the
If the arms are in the right pose using that axe. Could it be done, John?
For what?
For just a rad wolf lord.
I could do like a He-Man for you. I need to make a He-Man for you.
We've talked about He-Man kill teams before.
We're going to get onto that. That will be a project.
How are we going to do Orko? That is, we're going off topic.
Completely.
Let's talk about the
This is the last piece.
Obviously, people shouldn't go out into the wilderness and try and club a raven and glue it to their miniatures.
Don't do that.
Don't do
bad
that.
For the ravens. One thing we missed, the head, generic. You'll see it many times.
Regrettably, I realised that I used the same head on a different model.
You did, didn't you?
I did. Another model we're going to probably talk about.
Another one that I may or may not have converted also.
Kitbashed, yeah.
Oh well.
So the Dicky Bird, then where did it come from?
Dicky Bird, right. So this was a struggle, finding a Dicky Bird that was relevant.
Yeah.
This one is from a White Scar biker from one of the box sets that they brought out called Deathwatch Overkill.
That is the kind of various different chapters.
It's the tar based, Deathwatch, so you got like...
Is that all plastic kit, by the way?
Yeah.
Yeah?
It's proper good.
You got like a Raven Wing biker in there. Or is it White Scar's biker?
White Scar biker, you get salamanders,
flamethrower,
flamethrower Terminator, you get all that. It's pretty cool actually, really good.
Full of bits.
And I thought, well, he's not going to need it.
So that's probably about 50 quid, that kit, isn't it?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's not so good.
Just to get this Dicky
Raven.
Which looks a bit oversized.
It looks fine, man.
I like it.
But yeah, it is large compared.
I'm not sure it's worth £50.
Yeah, maybe not. I'm sure you'll be able to find
alternatives. So you magnetised it because you've got a real magnet thing going on.
Oh, mate. Everything needs a magnet.
Everything.
So you can have him fly, and then, like, when you've sent him off to go and You sent him off to go and zap the bad guys with Nightwing and his 12-inch assault D6.
3 attacks.
You can literally, I'm not going to do it, but you could flick him off, and if he hits the target, then you've hit them. I'm pretty
You understand
sure
that that's not actually how modern miniatures games work for adults?
I'm pretty sure it is.
You don't flick rubber bands and who knocks over the most people?
I'm pretty sure that's exactly
That's how it should be.
Yeah, I mean, your Predators fire matchsticks, right? Mine do. You got to put a bit of weight on the end.
That's another project.
No? Okay, right. Well, there you go. That's where it's from. I didn't even consider how ridiculously expensive it would be to get that component piece if you don't already have it.
You were doing this as a favour for me. The intention of building these models was not to make a YouTube video.
That is true.
We started doing videos and we said, let's look at some of the things the viewers may find interesting. So that's that. You'll see also with this, like a lot of mine, and it's a decision I actually regret, is I got the Sector Imperialis basing. Almost all of my miniatures up to this point have been kind of gritted and dry brushed, sometimes with a bit of other textured materials on there, and they look very similar. There's like my World War II stuff, my First World War stuff, my Napoleonic stuff, that American Civil War stuff.
If it ain't broke.
All of it had the same basing. Why not try something different?
So you picked these up?
So I picked those up, done that, and actually there's not enough variety. There's not enough variety. Is the problem. If you are starting a new force that you intend to have 50 or 100 models, I wouldn't do that.
Do you not, what are we talking about, like 10 different?
Maybe 10.
Which over the space of 50, 60 model count is, yeah. Alright
viewers, so up in the near future we're going to have a look at a Grey Hunter Standard Bearer, because that's a nasty model that you can, I mean that's an old model that you can buy, that we've done a conversion for me, we've got painted up, and further down the line we've got a Tech Priest, and I think...
Yeah, that dude, yeah, that's cool.
I think within the next few weeks we need to get you on with your RGB01 Beaky Marines,
my
so that people can see how tiny and how terrible those models are, and how much effort you've put in.
Yes, I would love that. I would really appreciate that.
Alright, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching.
Bye!
Whee!